some of the ethnicities that have been represented in, well, all the ethnicities. But when you're successful, they hold you up, but they don't want you to be too successful. The crab pot mentality. One crab gets up to the edge and just about to get away, and the other crabs pull it down. They're happy for you to an extent, but they don't want you to get so successful that you can't keep doing their work and you can't be doing this, still not coming to the family function. It's sad. The families, neighborhoods that you come from may glorify your name, but they still want you to be there. They don't want you to go live in a $25 million house. But once you leave, once you make that break, and once you get out of the crab pot, after the initial animosity wears off, I call it jealousy, and then they brag about you. Somebody says, well, when was the last time he was back in the neighborhood? 20 years ago. That speaks volumes. He was here last week, but that's not the case. Because once you're gone, you're gone. When we're in Los Angeles, let's say we have dinner at the Jonathan Club, the family, or someplace downtown Los Angeles. When we lived in Palos Verdes, you go left onto the highway, and then you catch go the 105 to the 405 south. The limo turns right, meaning we're going towards my old neighborhood, East LA. Daddy, why are we turning right? Of course, they know why we're turning right. Because I want to go by the old neighborhood, the old house. We know what it looks like. We don't need to see it again. But I don't want to forget. It's just like I wear a lot of frog cufflinks, frog ties, because I don't want to forget that I got here by kissing a lot of frogs. I'm always turning over rocks. I meet people for 20, 30 minutes, airports, hotels, around the world in all these cities. I want to see 5 or 10 or 15 people in every city I go to because I want to know, keep my thumb on the pulse of what's going on. That's why I knew Trump was going to win, because 80% of the people that I met were afraid to say at work they were pro-Trump because of all the shit will take. And now his following, although he's got more detractors and more haters than he had before, people vote with their pocketbook, with their checking account. And people are better off, even poor people, the lowest unemployment, the highest rate of employment for women, for black, brown, etc. And so, unless something happens, and President Trump, you never know, but he's going to crush whoever they run. Plus the fact that they've got 15, 20, 25 people now that want to run for the Democratic side. That's beautiful for the president, even though they're going to try to impeach him and all this other stuff. If they didn't impeach fucking Clinton, that's not likely. It's crucially important for those of you that still have little kids, or maybe it's too late for your kids, but when you're going to have grandkids. It's the first 7 or 8 years self-esteem is built. Mine was a lot of serendipity and a hard-ass dad. You can't make up for those first 7 or 8 years. All the therapy in the world isn't going to change that thought process. But now you may decide for whatever reason not to implement the whole program. But it's not like a menu, potpourri. Well, I'll have a little sushi, and I'll have a little spaghetti, and I'll have a little, chicken roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extras. That's the program. Again and again and again. But you've got to take leadership. You've got to take responsibility. And as Ross Perot said, the principles of leadership are timeless. Napoleon talked about it. They all are saying this is not new information. We talked about Seneca, 2000 BC. We talked about, that we waste our time. We talked about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, which were the first mentor-mentee program that was important. The system is based on a mentor, for me, for the next period of time, anchor chairman, which will act as a mentor. And that's why the guy or the gal that you pick for your chairman is so crucial. And if you make a mistake, don't be afraid to change your mind. Don't be afraid to, I say, vulgarly kick him to the curb, but you can call it whatever you want to call it, but you're kicking him to the curb. It's like a bad relationship, you stay in too long. You should have ended the relationship, but you don't, for all the reasons. And it's not just the chairman, it's the other members, and the accountant, and the lawyer. It all gets back to you in leadership. Very few schools, other than the academies, and now it's probably one of the academies, teach anything about leadership. The leadership in the military is now apparently waning. It isn't what it used to be, but it's still better than the leadership that 99% of the people that come to this goddamn seminar. It's not like I say bad leadership is better than no leadership, but some leadership is better than no leadership. So heretofore, you've never been put in a position to exhibit leadership. In fact, leadership is denoted in the snowflake world as not nice, not this, rough, why are you doing that? And therefore, you're looked down upon by your peers, and most of you, because you want to be liked, don't want to be looked down upon. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have a lack of results and lack of results. I'm going to go in depth with the bank, words to use when you're interviewing. And remember, it's an interview. You don't call it a beauty contest, but that's what it is. They don't like but that's what it is. The beauty contest to get the bank that's got the right chemistry, the right match for what we need. We need a QLA model. But once they understand, you understand their language, vis-a-vis free cash flow covering debt service. Josh said our average deal is 2.5 to 3 times debt service. In other words, the free cash flow covers 2.5 to 3. Well, 3 times debt service is fucking phenomenal. 2 times debt service is good. 3 is fucking phenomenal. And most of the deals that you're gonna look at, and you follow the steps at current interest rates, I'm not saying when interest rates go up 500 basis points, current interest rates are gonna be 2, 2.5. Whereas the bank's parameters are down to 1.15, 1.25, 1.35, 1.5. When they see a deal that is 100 basis points better than that, it's hard for them to say no. They don't say no very often. They may decide for whatever reason, because of the risk adjustment of their portfolio across the board, they may decide it had too much middle sector assisted living. That can happen. You know, and when you get there, they've made 100 loans and you're the 101st loan and they're up to here with assisted living, and then you cry in your weekly report, well, you know, but other than that, or they may have a big loan blow up in the face, and you get to the week after the big loan blows up in the face. But other than that, those happen in any risk-adjusted portfolio, they're pretty much slam dunk. Although you see in basketball, you got an open court, he dribbles down, there's nobody defending, right? He goes up and the ball bounces out. That does happen. But I mean, other than that.
Higher ratio deals, do you usually get better interest rates because it's less risk?
Yep, correct. But I mean now, maybe 5 basis points or 10 basis points. So you may get a difference between 5.75 and 5.50. But I mean, that's not gonna, if that kills your deal, forget about it. But yes, the answer is yes. When you have a 2.5 to 3 times debt service in your cash flow, what I did is I didn't fight for the extra 25 basis points. I fought for something else. When I was going to drop the shoe on them about working capital, or I'm going to drop the shoe, or when the Brits fell victim to Pena's salami technique. I thought about that in a long time, but I mean, it was like I gave them AIDS or something. They fell victim, and it wasn't they fell victim to my charm, believe me. They fell victim because I dropped it, you know, the second and third part of what I really wanted. Negotiating 101, I mean, it's no Einstein check. To answer your question, yes. But I would use that, you know, it's 2.5 times that coverage when it comes up for the working capital, for the line of credit or overdraft. But I mean, getting the money in the different forms, under the different, same platform and the different forms, pretty simple because there's so much bloody money out there. And you don't go to a bank, back in the day when Wells Fargo was in trouble here a year or two ago, that is not the time to go when they're fighting for their life. They got 1,100 people that committed fraud. That's not the time when the banks are in trouble for some other reason, because then they're focused on something else. The credit officer's worried about keeping his job. He's not worried so much about getting money out the door. They say they're in the lending mode, but they're in the crisis cover their ass mode. And that takes precedent over the lending mode. The world's awash. And remember, the backups of World Bank, International Monetary Fund, they just had David Rubenstein's talk show on Bloomberg a week or two ago. The outgoing head of the World Bank, Korean guy, Dr. Correctly, who knew nothing about banking, not dissimilar to our system. And we were saying the mandate. And I thought the World Bank had a lot more money than that. They're only the low billions. That's plenty of money for us, believe me. The low billions is plenty of money to fund our. Okay, YouTube, good night. Thank you.